No marriage is perfect. Even the healthiest of marriages have their ups and downs. Welcome back to the Secure Husband Podcast. Bruce Abbott, certified professional coach and founder of SecureHusband.com, where I help good men stop reacting from their wounds and start leading their marriages with grounded truth and emotional strength. Even the healthiest marriages have their struggles. Sometimes we see other couples, maybe on social media, maybe through friendships, family. We think, man, I wish I had that because my marriage is struggling. But even in those marriages, you have two imperfect people, and you didn't get where you are because one person screwed it up and the other one was healthy. Your marriage got there because both of you reacted to the hard stuff that marriages face in ways that pulled you further apart. And that's not blame, that's not shame. It's just the truth that no marriage is perfect. The healthiest ones have arguments. The best couples have years where connection feels harder than usual. We're human beings. And if your marriage is struggling right now, it's not based on the problems that you've faced together. It's based on how each of you responded to those problems, the way that you coped, or withdrew, or pursued, or defended, or shut down, or got angry, or stopped trusting, or started resenting. Those are the seeds of dysfunction. Again, because we're human. It's not because one of you is broken, but neither of you knew how to respond from healing. So you both responded from pain and protection. And your marriage situation right now was unintentionally co-created by the two of you. You see, a marriage isn't a scoreboard, but it is a system. Every move you make, every reaction, every silence, every word affects the other person, and vice versa. Every move they make affects you. It's a system. So when something painful happens, whether it's a miscommunication, it's stress, betrayal, disconnection, resentment, whatever that is, it's not just what happened that matter, it's how each of you responded. And those responses create a loop. So for example, if she shuts down during conflict, then you feel rejected. You start to get louder. She pulls back more. You panic more. That builds dysfunction. If you avoid emotional vulnerability, she feels unseen. She criticizes you. You withdraw even further. Now you're building resentment. To avoid fighting, you both stop bringing up what really hurts, and then years go by, and you live like roommates, and you're not really sure how that happened. The system becomes dysfunctional. And it doesn't happen because you're bad people. It happens because you're hurting. You are two hurt people reacting from fear and not healing. That's why it's important with the Secure Husband process to notice your patterns, and notice them without blame or shame. Because if you're going to lead your marriage out of dysfunction, you've got to start by owning your side of it. She has to handle her side. You have to handle yours. So just notice, how do I typically react when she pulls away emotionally? What do I do when I feel criticized or judged or disrespected? How do I react? If she gets angry or cold, do I get defensive? Do I go sulk and get quiet and withdraw? Do I try to fix it? Just notice these things. Notice where you've been more focused on what she's doing wrong than on how I show up. Just notice if I blame her for the disconnection while still avoiding my own truth. That sounds a little harsh, and you're not doing this to beat yourself up. Again, this is not about shame or blame or guilt because you've been abandoning yourself your entire life. But you're doing this because the most powerful men in the world are the ones who say, I'm not perfect, but I'm not afraid to see myself clearly. And that's why noticing is so important. It's a powerful first step. Because when you can get clear, that clarity breaks the cycle. And without it, you're going to keep reacting the same way and getting the same results. And a main theme that goes through this podcast and every episode is you have to choose to respond from healing instead of reacting from pain. And that happens on both sides. But you are the only one you can control. So you have to make the choice that you will respond from healing and no longer from pain. Because if you've shut down when things got tense or snapped when you felt disrespected, you were passive-aggressive when your needs weren't met, or you tried to guilt her into affection, those are just coping mechanisms that you learned a long time ago. But now you get to choose. Now that you've noticed, and you can choose something new. You can choose to stop letting your unhealed wounds decide how you're going to show up in a marriage. You can choose not to react from fear anymore, and you can choose to respond from the man who you're becoming. That decision changes the whole atmosphere in your home, because now you're working on the system, and you improve the system by healing yourself. And it all starts with that inner child. It all starts with that younger version of you who felt powerless and unseen and unworthy in relationships. Because your reactions in your marriage aren't just coming out of nowhere. They come from old abandonment wounds, from those childhood moments and circumstances that you didn't feel chosen or seen or loved. You didn't get your emotional needs met. Times when you felt invisible. Times when emotional honesty got you hurt, emotionally, maybe physically. And you started forming these silent beliefs that I'm only good if I'm useful, or not in the way, or not a problem, or that my needs are too much. And now when your wife seems distant, or when she criticizes or shuts down, we always say this isn't about her. She's just triggering those old wounds. So you feel those wounds again. And that boy inside of you says, I'm being rejected again. I have to fix this. That boy is the one reacting in panic and guilt and anger and silence. And if you never meet him, never reassure him, never lead him, he's going to keep running your marriage from this wounded shadow self. But now you choose. You choose to become a man who leads. And you say to that boy, hey, little guy, I see you. You're not broken. You're safe with me now. You don't have to beg for love anymore. I've got us. And you connect to your divine guidance, your higher power, God, the universe, spirit, whatever is your source of unconditional love and truth. That you get clarity on your love. You get clarity on your worth. And you start to remove these false core beliefs that subconsciously you've been carrying since you were a young child that says, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not loved. And then you can respond in the system. And you can understand that her behavior isn't happening in a vacuum. It's her response to the system. Because guys want to say, oh, she's cold, she doesn't want sex, she doesn't talk to me. But just stop for a moment and ask, okay, when did that start? What did she start responding to? Was there a moment when you shut down emotionally and she felt abandoned? Did you get reactive for so long that she learned to avoid conflict altogether? Did you people please so often that she no longer trusts your words? She didn't create the dysfunction. And you are not solely responsible for it. It's a system. You both did through your reactions. It's not one person's fault. But it does mean that healing starts with the person who becomes aware first. Someone has to take the first step to change the system. And since you're listening to this podcast, that person is you. So this is where you get to make a choice and get clarity and take a new action to shift this system. And you're going to do it one loving, grounded, new action at a time. And that breaks the pattern. So how does this look? Okay, if she criticizes, instead of defending, just self-soothe and breathe and say, I'm listening, babe. Tell me more. When she shuts down, instead of chasing and panicking, just say, hey, babe, when you're ready, I'm here. When she withholds affection, instead of begging and pleading, just ask yourself, okay, what have I been withholding from myself? When you feel unappreciated, instead of withdrawing, state your need clearly without guilt. Every new action you take that's grounded in healing and clarity changes the system because your marriage doesn't need more effort. It needs more integrity and emotional safety and emotional trust and more alignment between who you want to be and how you show up, especially under pressure. So you shift the system one response at a time. Because you are not going to lead your marriage back to health through control, but you will lead it back to health through your own calm, consistent, healing presence that doesn't blame or collapse or over-explain or expect her to do the emotional work for you. He's present, he's grounded, he leads. That's the man you want to become. The man whose calm begins to soothe her nervous system. Your steadiness invites her to open up again. Your clarity earns back trust. Your presence rebuilds safety. You're emotionally honest. That reignites respect. That's how you start shifting the system, not through force and manipulation, but through leadership. No marriage is perfect. Every marriage becomes what it is today based on how both people have responded to the challenges. And yeah, you didn't mean to build dysfunction. Neither one of you did. But what do you do now? You start healing. And that's how you get to build something better. Not by waiting on her or blaming her or fixing her, but by healing yourself. When you're done reacting from pain and you're ready to lead from peace. That's how you stop living in those same loops. I hope this podcast was helpful for you. If so, give me a review. Hit that subscribe button for more Secure Husband episodes. Share this episode with someone who you think may need to hear this. Visit securehusband.com for more resources and to book one-on-one coaching with me. And I'll see you again on the next Secure Husband podcast. Thanks for listening.